Taking 1 second. And yeah, we're live. Okay. Good. This is the finale that you've been waiting for. It's another time-lapse episode of the marble run that I've been building. The steps were in the 80s around. But unfortunately, since I started out with the manual in front of the lens, the time-lapse did not then focus onto the machine itself. But that's okay. At least my elbow is in focus. Yeah, but this part did not take that long actually. Here's the final hose. You can kind of see, I mean it's kind of blurry, but you can sort of see the track connecting through the chain here in the middle. That was fun. I'm gonna move up the video so you can see me building. I was trying out the left part of the track. I kept having trouble with this left part of the track, the very steep part, because the balls kept flying out. I didn't quite know why. It's quite a long part of the track that I'm assembling here. I should be putting it in any second. That's me connecting the track through the chain. And the last part up here is where I connected those lateral struts. And I think I had dirt on my lens. Do you see the black spot there? That's weird. Setting up the final piece of the seesaw so it has some nice weight up there. And connecting up the tracks. Me assembling here the final part of the track. Running up there, so last two parts are neatly connected here in the middle, and here's me testing a few marbles just to see if everything works. You can see the left part is still worrisome, where the marbles kept flying out. Yep, that was the end of this part. The main construction was complete. The only thing left for me was to do the wiring of the motor and the lights. I had to measure out the length of the cable. It was, as you can see there, 40 centimeters, 140 centimeters, and 20 centimeters. I ended up giving me a lot of slack on the 140 centimeters, so there was not that much slack on the 40 and 20 centimeters. But it ended up being enough because the measurements that they provided were very generous. But the cable that came with the box was very much measured to those three measurements added. There was not much left over between them. Yeah, you see me switching to my iFixit screwdriver because the screwdriver that came with the box did not really fit into these screw holes. Pretty forward, just 3 cables with 2 ends each of varying lengths. Okay, and this is me wiring everything up. Started at the top here, connecting the 2 bulbs. Just for testing purposes, I didn't really hide the wire anyway, I just put it there like that. And then connected the long wire in the back. It was quite fiddly to do this while everything was already assembled. And I did not want to rip out the connections. And then it's unfortunately outside of the frame, but down there on the right is the battery pack. And then where the chain meets the base, that's where the motor is. And I did that from the front because that was easier to reach. And here's the first test run. You can see LEDs are nicely flashing. And the seesaw is working. And I tried messing around with those switches up there. And here we have the finished product. It was getting dark at this point, so you could really nicely see the flashing of the LEDs. Yeah, and I switched the middle part, we would go through the loop and then come out in the very steep part, and you can see the balls kept flying out. Ended up getting a very nice trick shot here. Hold up. Oop. Bounce right back on the track. And it was kind of frustrating because sometimes the balls just kept going down the funnel normally instead of flying out, and I wasn't really sure why. Eventually I figured that it has to do with the elevation of the high-speed part of the track here. You see me pushing it up to change the angle a little bit, which did help. And then I tried the following. I switched the track to a different part, and then ended up taking out this section here. And I mean, eventually I did it. I ended up consulting the manual to see where I had made a mistake, and I did realize that I in fact made a mistake with one part. You see this little red part that connects that short part of the track with the long one was switched around. It's supposed to be pointing up instead of pointing down from this angled part here. So I switched it around, gave the short part a little more slack, and made the long part a little straighter and less bouncy. And that ended up being the problem. So I held up my hand in anticipation, but in fact it turned out I didn't need to. So every subsequent ball ended up going down this track normally. One part that I'm thinking about investigating is the last part of the track here, this 90-degree angle. You can see there's a ball standing there, and usually it takes the second ball to kick it down. But that's not really that critical, I would say, because it still functions normally. Oh, there's one ball sticking here in the funnel, not moving. But usually there's the second ball to kick it down. And yeah, I'm thinking about doing something to these LEDs because they're really brighter than I had anticipated. Maybe I'm gonna dull these caps a little bit. I don't want my neighbors to think I'm being raided by the police. Yeah, I ended up switching this part so you can see this little tray here, because I thought that was a nice idea to have the ball sort of free floating on there and going back into the funnel. Yeah, but that's it for this build. I hope you enjoyed watching me, and I hope you enjoyed the final product. I might end up building the other ones too, because I saw that there's some that don't have as many branching paths, but more one single path that takes a while for the ball to go down. But until then, thanks for watching.